Okay, 5 things I like about the Canon EOS RP. In no particular order, but we'll go with the 5 top things I like. The first thing I like about Canon cameras in general, the flip screen. This thing will flip all the way around, however you need it to go. This is fantastic for blogging purposes. Obviously you can see what's going on. Matter of fact, the Panasonic FZ300 that I'm recording this on right now also has a flip screen, and I'm able to look over there and see it. But just like the Canon RP, it has that flip screen. This thing very invaluable. It also helps to be able to go like this and be able to look down at it. If you're shooting down low, you can take shots. For instance, if you're getting reflection shots off of a curb or something like that, or you're just getting down low to get a nice vertical shot looking up like this, you've got the screen, you can look down here, and that comes in very handy. I love that feature of this camera, having that flip screen. It's come in handy so many times that you don't have to break your back. You put it like this, for instance, and you can look down. Again, if you've got it down low, you're able to look down and see what you have in the viewfinder. So I really like that. That's one of the things I love about this Canon EOS RP, and technically Canon cameras in general. And to go along with the flip screen, I like the touch screens. If you're doing long exposure, you can touch it. I still would use the 2-second timer on the camera because you don't want any shake. If you do not use your 2-second timer and you touch it, of course, you can shake the camera. Even if it's on a tripod, there's a bit of a shake there. So I would set it to the 2-second timer and then touch it, stand back, 2 seconds, it's gonna release. That's perfect, especially if you're doing long exposure, things like that. The touch shutter is also very, very good for street photography. You can kind of walk around like you really don't know what you're doing. You're just kind of looking here and you're doing one of these numbers, but you can put your hands down here so people see you're not on the shutter and they don't know that you're taking your picture. You're just kind of walking through and they're in focus, and boom, take that picture. That works great. And of course, along with the shutter release, the touch shutter release, you also are able to use your menu by touching, so you don't have to use the dials if you don't want to. Again, you can easy access. That makes it very nice. And the My Menu portion of the settings menu is fantastic. You can look at my last video I had. It wasn't produced all that well. I'm sorry about the video quality, but at the end of the video it shows you how to set up My Menu so that you can easily get to 5 or 6 of the features you normally would use when you're out in the field. That's very handy. I really like that on the menu and the settings of the camera. The menu itself is very easy to use with any Canon camera. It doesn't go into 100 different pages that you have to scroll through like a Sony would. There's probably less than 20 technical screens on here that you have to go through, and most of those you don't have to go through. But I do have a video again just before this one that sets it up and shows you how to do that if you want to go check that out. Another item I really like about the Canon EOS RP is the auto eye focus. And again, that just goes right along. If you're picking this up for street photography, it's honestly great for that, because again, with the touch shutter release, and you do have the auto eye focus, basically you've got somebody walking down the street, they're going to walk right into the focus, and all you've got to do is hit that, release the shutter, they don't even know you took a picture. So it's really good for that. The other thing it's fantastic for is if you're doing portrait work, you're basically just, you don't have to, I used to have to focus on the eyes and then reposition the frame. Don't have to do that. It's always going to stay locked into your subject's eyes. So that's fantastic. And again, you can't get any easier than that for portrait work. So then you're really able to focus in on what the model's doing, what that person's doing, what the group's doing, if anybody's blinking, things like that. But you don't have to worry about the eye focus or the focus in general at all doing portraiture work with the auto eye focus feature. So I really love that. Another item I really like about the Canon EOS RP is that it is full frame. And that doesn't mean a lot to a lot of people. If you're shooting for Instagram or online or something like that, and you don't really print or make a lot of prints, it's almost irrelevant. It does have a 24 megapixel, 24 to 26, I'm not really sure what it is. I'll put that on the screen now that I've said it. But that's really irrelevant unless you're looking at blowing up, enlarging your photos. And if you're a professional photographer, if you're doing a lot of landscape photography, that's something that could come into importance there. You're selling your work to somebody, they want to blow it up, put it in a bank, put it on a wall, something like that. An APS-C sensor is fine, but there's nothing that beats a full frame. This is one of the best things you can get for a portable camera. This camera, this lens, under $1,000, $999 as of in the summer or early summer of 2020, and not particularly sold on the lens. I think you might want to go ahead and get the adapters, which I will talk about an adapter, the $49 adapter. You don't have to go with the Canon adapters, and you can use your EFS lenses. And that leads me to the final point, or not actually the final point, but just one of the top 5 things I love about this camera. There's a lot I love about this camera. I'm not being unbiased about it. I am being biased. I understand that. This is a great camera. For the money, you really need to go out and get one of these if you've ever been considering moving up from the TI series. This is the JJC mount adapter, and this is an EF to RF. So what this does, it allows you to put this on your RP camera, and you can use any EF or EFS lens. I have the 10 to 18 millimeter Canon lens, which I'll be doing a video on. It works great with this thing. You put this on there, put it on there. It will automatically change itself to a 1.6 crop factor, but you don't notice the difference while you're shooting, and you still get great quality. So this lens is basically $100 with the kit, because you can get the body of this camera for $899, $999 with the 24 to 105 f4 to 7.1 lens. For $100 extra, you might as well pick it up. But I can see it certainly being useful. However, it is a 4 to 7.1. That's your minimum apertures. So if you want to go with a 1.8 or a 2.0, something like that, you'll need to pick up this adapter. This is a $49 adapter. It's the JJC version. I wouldn't spend the money on the Canon. Canon is $99 just for their bottom one. They have them, they go up $199, $299, whatever floats your boat, but $49 you can get this. I've tried it, it works fantastic. That's JJC. So those are 5 things I really like about this camera. As I said, there's a lot more than 5 things I like, but those 5 things really help me out in the field. Those things make a difference when I'm out shooting, and that's why I like those top 5 things. Now, I'm going to go ahead and say there's 5 things I don't like about this camera. A couple of those aren't the camera's fault. One would be the lens, this kit lens that came with it. You can get the f4 24 to 105, and it's about $1,000 or something, I don't know. But the kit lens, it doesn't have a lock on it, so it's very tight. It doesn't just creep out or anything on you, but I like the lock. I'm used to Sigma lens with the lock on there. Just something comforting about that lock that this doesn't have, so I'm not thrilled about that. Not the camera's fault, that's the lens. One of the other things that I would have liked to have seen, it's not a huge problem, would be more function buttons. You can get away, I mean, basically using the My menu in the settings makes it easy to get to things. You don't really need the function buttons if you're used to using the My menu feature, which I am. It's where where you can place 5 or 6 items that you can get to very quickly. That's fine with me. It works fine. If you're working in a really fast-paced environment and you need a lot of changes, you've only got a couple function buttons to do that with, so you have to use them sparingly. But again, if you go back to the video that I did on setting the camera up, get to the end of the video, there's actually a My Settings screen on there. It works fantastic, and that'll solve that problem for you. But, you know, a couple extra function buttons wouldn't have been a problem. I don't understand why they couldn't have put a couple more on there. Which leads into the second dislike, which may be the major dislike, is there's no ISO button. There used to be on the T3i, for instance. It was up here on top, easy to get to. That's something I do change quite a bit. So I had to put it into the My Menu function. It's not a problem. I know how to get to it very quickly, but it just seems a little weird they wouldn't put it on the back of the camera or up here where it was on the older cameras. Not sure why they would have changed that. Doesn't seem like it would have made any difference, but they did. So, you know, for what it's worth, there's no ISO button on here, but you can easily get to it if you program it in the My Menu settings. I would say probably my biggest dislike, which is again not a deal killer, doesn't take away my love of the camera, but again with the T3i, you could get to the SD card here on the side. It was easy to, well, you can't, you've got to go underneath. I have this really cool battery grip on here, and so you have to unscrew the battery grip. You can go back to the video, my unboxing video. I talk about this battery grip. It's a very good quality for under $100. Go check it out. The DTSE, I believe. At any rate, here's your SD card. you have to go into the camera. Even if you don't have this on there, I don't care for it. I wish it would have been on the side. So just a couple of minutes to just pop this thing back on or off or whatever. So whoops, the other way. Righty-tighty, lefty-loosely, have to do that every time. Am I doing it right? Yeah. So there it is, back on. Okay, so it's fine. This thing just comes off and goes right back on, no problem. It's just weird. I don't know why they put it up underneath there like that. They could have put it on the side, an extra door. Maybe because they thought it was going to be waterproof. I don't know that this is really weatherproof or not. They say it is, but then there's others that say it's not. I know if you have any other lenses on there, they're not going to be waterproof, so it kind of defeats the whole purpose. So you should have just put that SD card over here on the side, but whatever. Okay, the only other thing that I can come up with that I really dislike, and it's not a dislike and it's not Canon's fault. My other Canon cameras used the CR2 RAW files. I only shoot in RAW, don't shoot in JPEG, I only shoot in RAW. The CR2 files were fine in Lightroom. For some reason, the version of Lightroom I have, it's the updated version, but I don't have the cloud version. I don't like uploading my original photos into the cloud that anybody can steal or grab, and I know you probably say they can't, but I don't trust that. So I keep all of my RAW files in my computer, on my hard drives. They don't get uploaded into the cloud. Call me old-fashioned, whatever, they stay with me until they get a watermark or they're edited. So I use the self-contained Lightroom. I don't know if that's called the Classic or what it's called, but at any rate, it will not read the CR3 RAW files that this Canon camera puts out, that the Canon RP puts out. So it does not read the CR3 files. It's pretty simple. You just download the free Adobe digital negative converter and convert them. It only takes a few minutes. Now there's some people, actually I started converting even my CR2s to DNG upon import about a year or so ago. They seem to have, I don't know if they need less information, if they read less information. It could be hurting them more than helping, I don't know, but I try to keep everything DNG. So again, these do not automatically convert. I have to convert them in Adobe Converter, but it's really not a big deal. It takes a few extra minutes, and then I can put those, import those into Lightroom. I'm sure I'm missing something. There's probably something I need to program in Lightroom or something like that, but it does not read the camera. So for what it's worth, I'm sure eventually it will. Those are my 5 biggest hang-ups, I guess, about the camera. They're really not dislikes. They're just little issues that I would have liked to have seen resolved. If those issues are never resolved, it's irrelevant, honestly, because the first 5 things I mentioned definitely override the last 5 things I mentioned. And just this camera, the more I use it, the more I like it. And I've really not even got into the control ring on this lens yet. On the lens itself, it has your traditional stabilizer, image stabilizer button, on and off, which of course, remember, when you're doing long exposure, by the way, you want to turn that off because it's trying to level itself, and if it's already level on a tripod, it's going to start moving around trying to find the level. So you want to make sure and turn that off, but then you got to remember to turn it back on when you take it off the tripod. But then up here there's also a control ring, and let's see, what is that? Control and focus. Of course, if you're going to be using manual focus, which is what I have it in, that's the manual focus ring. You can pop it into control. That can control your ISO settings that I was talking about earlier, or any other settings. I haven't gone in there and done it. I don't even know I'll do that. I'm traditionalist. I'll use that for focus, I guess. But at any rate, it's a really cool camera. I've gushed about it enough. I'll probably gush some more. So my suggestion, go out and buy it. I don't have a link below. I don't have any accounts with Amazon. I'm not pushing this for Canon. It's just what I use, what I really like. And again, I'm really liking my new Rode Video Mic Plus. What is that? Video Mic Pro Plus. There we go. The Rode Video Mic Pro Plus. It's on top of my Panasonic FZ300 right now. That thing's a champ. I really like that. I got a new little fuzzy windscreen for it as well. So, as a matter of fact, let me go ahead and take a shot of that, and here we go. So at any rate, there's the top 5 things I love about the Canon EOS RP. top 5 things I'm really not thrilled about, but again, the top 5 outweigh the bottom 5, so I say it's a keeper. I'm going to keep it at any rate, and hopefully get a lot more action out of this camera in the years to come. So that'll do it. Make sure you like this video, subscribe if you haven't done so already. The subscriptions are shooting through the roof. I do appreciate that. And now that things are slowing down or calming down a little bit here in the United States and in Indiana, my goal is to get downtown Indianapolis this weekend. Let's see if that'll happen, at least this weekend, hopefully, and then start getting out at least once a week, maybe twice a week downtown Indy, start getting some photos, then head out to Dayton, Louisville, maybe Detroit. But again, I'm waiting for things to calm down. I'm in no hurry to get out and get involved in anything I shouldn't be involved in. So that's going to do it for this video. I do appreciate you guys checking it out, and hope you'll be back for the next one.